Hello, welcome to another Grandmaster Guide. My name is Wispy. I'm here to give you my tips, tricks, and recommendations for the Exodus Crash Grandmaster Nightfall. As always, if you find this video helpful, please like and subscribe. It's free. I promise. Alright, on to the content. This Nightfall features Overload and Barrier champions, so keep that in mind when slotting your mods onto your gauntlets. Also, TQ's Divination and Ariana's Vow really shine in this Nightfall, as all you're really going to see is solar shields, and both of those work very well in Grandmaster Nightfalls, with anti-barrier being intrinsic to Ariana's, and TQ's just really tearing shit up with the Overload mod. Linear fusions I'd recommend in your heavy spot for the safe boss strat, and swords for the chaos boss strat. I will go over those near the end of the video when we go over the two different strategies for this boss fight. Hunters, Bottom Tree Void with Omnioculus is a really good call. You can also run Stasis. Titans, Top Tree Void with Aeon Safe or with Helma Safe 14. And Warlocks, you're really important in the strike. Mid Tree Solar with the Stag, that roll Radiance, and Stag for a lot of rifts to help keep everyone alive in the boss fight. Now for the real boss, these pikes. Beware of the pikes when you're running through this section. They will shred you without even a second thought. So for the most part, this strike is pretty straightforward. As long as you stay back and keep your distance from everything, it's going to be tedious and take some time, but there's nothing really dangerous per se until we get to the actual boss fight, which is all suddenly chaotic. But we'll go through section by section here, just so we can see what champions to expect and what kind of enemies to expect, what shields to expect, everything like that. On this run, I was also running Ager's Scepter, which I've really come to like in GMs and just anywhere in general, just for the free freezing for some special ammo. It's pretty juice, and it's really good for keeping ads under control if you can spare the slot for it. So as we push up, you're gonna have one Overload champ up here. Deal with him appropriately. If anyone on your team is running Aeon Safe, this is one really good one that you can finish without any really trouble. So I will do that here, and then we'll move on to the next section. The next hallways are going to feature two more Overload champions and some random ads. Just take them out. Take your time to move on to probably the longest part of this strike. It takes a while on Grandmaster just because it takes so long to kill things sometimes. So in this section, you're really going to want to stay back in this hallway slash staircase with your wells. You can pop bubbles in the back for some extra damage to dip in and out of it. This strike will feature this section will feature a plethora of overloads and two barrier champs. And you're gonna say, Wispy, you didn't count the number of barrier or overload champs. How am I supposed to know how many to kill? It doesn't matter. Just kill them all. There's a bunch. I'm sorry I didn't count them. That upsets you. Just click off the video now. There are two barriers. I counted that because I can count to two. So go through and kill all those overloads, all the ads. You'll also run into a couple of solar shanks that just pop the shields, burn them down, and you'll be safe just sticking back on this staircase. As you run through the next section, you have some more arc charges to pick up. This section is a patrol zone, but is still also GM level for you. So everything in this section still hurts, so keep that in mind when sparrowing around. Once those arc charges are done, you're going to make your way up and kind of stay to the right. This is where we'll take out the spider tank. I would go back here first and kill these couple dregs back here so they're not shooting you in the back while you're trying to shoot the spider tank. The good thing about the right side is the Vex Minotaur will leave you alone. The Solar Shank sometimes wandered over to us, but for the most part it left us alone because it was fighting the spider tank. So you can take it out from over here pretty safe. You'll come to this last section right before the boss room where there's one more overload champ. Take him out and just progress up the stairs and platforms, watching out for snipers in the dark and the various couple enemies that are positioned on the platforms. That'll bring us to the boss room. We'll go over our 2 strats for this room. Up to the top right, that's where the safe strat will happen, and over to the left is where the chaos strat will happen. So we'll go through the chaos strat first. I did not beat it using this strategy, but I've seen others do it. It will get it done quicker, but it's definitely a lot harder. So when you head over to the left, you're gonna do your best to bait the boss over to you, so you can bash him with your swords. So you're gonna be popping your wells, your bubbles, and just trying to get his health down as quickly as possible to start spawning more adds so you can kill them while you have your supers up. What makes this hard is you're out in the open, right? So there's just not a lot of places to hide in this boss room. And so we tried to bait as many as we could into the bubble to stun them. And then of course we had rifts going after those supers were up. The first run we did this, we got overrun by the ads and by the barrier champs. Hurt a lot. And on top of them making everything around them immune, it was a pain. The second time we tried this, I was using Crown Splitter and the AoE from the heavy attack. Also blew up the Explodey Shank behind the boss, and I died, and it was very sad. So that's the Chaos Strat. It requires a lot of teamwork, a lot of communication to get that done and stay alive. Now for the safe strat, which is going to rely very heavily on the Warlock and the Fire team. You're going to head over to the right side of the map, leaving one shank alive. Don't kill them all until you're set up. And you're going to jump behind this little structure here, and you're going to get all cozy. Your whole fire team's going to get back here. One guy up on the box or if you have eyes on the last shank, you're going to want to shoot him as close to being in the structure as you can. So this is where you're going to sit for almost the entire fight. Once you kill the last shank, the boss will come over and the ground will electrify shortly after. This is where the Warlock comes in with the rift. That's going to keep everybody alive. So if the Warlock is wearing the stag, once his shield breaks, it's going to give him his rift back. He can pop it back down immediately. And the regen from the Warlock rift is faster than the electrical field that you're sitting in, so you can effectively sit here and be totally fine. The boss can still shoot you, so it's still good to duck and cover. When you can, ads can also still shoot you. The boss can reach his long reachy arms through the gap over there on the left between this thing and the box, as Tactical Fork found out when he got slaughtered. So keep that in mind. Everything comes up, you still want to use cover and watch your health. But for the most part, you're going to be relatively safe back here. You also want the Warlock to pop a Well of Radiance when things get a little dicey. It's always good to have. For the barriers, they're going to head over to the right. So what we did was we jumped out, popped a bubble. I recommend burning the first one and weakening the second one and giving your team time to get back behind the structure. Because as soon as that second barrier dies, the electrical field is going to come back. And you don't want to get stuck outside like I do right here, because I didn't make the jump. And you cannot jump when you're in the electricity. You especially don't want to get your warlock stuck outside, because that's who's going to keep you alive. You can get back in if you use what I like to call pro gamer moves, and you can get back in this way if you do mess up. Once you're back in, continue shooting. Sometimes he likes to sit over here in this corner. You can't really shoot through. Throwing grenades works, throwing it in front of him. I also used mid-tree Solar Titan. You can also super and hit him with the big sledgehammer. Works too. Do these things, take your time, shoot the boss down, and you'll complete the strike. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Have a great day.